This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
Hello and welcome to Killer Innovations this week, where we're all about the ideas, creativity, innovations, and where we get an opportunity to introduce you to top innovators who share with you their story. Today we're broadcasting live from Boulder, Colorado, and I'm actually broadcasting from the offices of Boomtown. That ties into our first guest, which is Toby Kraut, who is the co-founder and its executive director. Boomtown is a startup accelerator here in Boulder. One interesting statistic that I caught off of the Boomtown website is that Boomtown startups currently enjoy a 96% survival rate, and 78% of them are revenue generating, which is an unbelievable statistic when you think about startup accelerators. So Toby, before we jump in on that, what I want you to do is I want to give you an opportunity to kind of give a 60-second commercial on Boomtown.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. Honored to be here. Boomtown is, as you started out with, is a startup accelerator, and we see ourselves as a third wave accelerator. The modern accelerator formula is about 8 years old, and we're coming in kind of a ways in, and so our job is really to look at the model and continuously improve it. So we run anywhere between 20 and 25 companies a year through the program. We're now almost 2 years old, and we do a 12-week curriculum. We invest roughly $20,000 in each team. We have a large mentor network, and our mentors really augment the programming. And then we wrap up with a demo day at the end of those 3 months, and we do that here in Boulder at the Boulder Theater, and we typically sell that out. It's about 1,000 raucous people here, and that's basically what we are.
So for those of our listeners who really maybe aren't that familiar with what a startup accelerator really is, describe what an accelerator is. Not specifically to Boomtown, but what the whole concept of startup accelerators are. What are you trying to solve?
Yeah. In general, if you're a seed stage accelerator, you're really looking to find startups around the planet, depending on your geography. We're looking everywhere on the planet, that have a great idea. Now, again, these are seed stage companies in our case, so they don't have. Some of them are pre-revenue. Some of them are very early on. They just have ideas, and we're looking to bring them in and give them the tools that they need and the help and assistance from others who have kind of been there before, so that they can really get to the next level. So they have to come here with an idea. They don't have to leave with that same idea. They typically have to have, the key components of a founding team, and then they really have to have the courage and the vulnerability and the intellectual honesty to go through a rigorous program and come out the other side, hopefully with a business model where they can start to execute and scale.
So, Boomtown has the benefit of having learned, being a little bit maybe a fast follower in the accelerator space. So what is it that Boomtown does differently than some of the other accelerators that are out there?
That's a great question, because when we started, so we launched about 2 years ago. It's been in the plans for about 5 years, and we looked at a lot of accelerators and incubators, over 100 of them. And one thing we found is that, and I don't mean to say this negative, I'll say it positively. There are a few accelerators that are doing a really great job, and the rest, I think, create kind of a challenge for us, because there's somewhat of an accelerator bubble right now, and so, but specifically about what we do differently, I was just sitting in here with our general counsel. I'll be cryptic here, but we're doing a big deal with a large corporation where we're going to be providing some of the skills and services that we give to startups to this particular corporation. And the question really came up about what do we protect? What is ours? And it was a long, heated discussion with my lawyer, who I dearly love, but it was a long legal discussion.
Well, discussions with lawyers are always that way. I can give you that piece of advice.
And what it came down to is that our people and our culture are what's long term for Boomtown, what's going to be different. And I know that's kind of vague, but the truth is that what we do differently is every single session that we do, we're looking to change our model and to improve our model. So we run experiments on our own cohorts. We ran 10 experiments on our previous cohort. And we're never going to have kind of a cookie cutter approach on what, how we quote unquote teach our startups. It's always going to change because we're investing in going around the planet and meeting with the experts and the people who are writing the books and the people who are creating new tools so that we can bring a tailored program to each session. So for us, I think the difference is we're never going to be the same. We're never going to kind of rest on this 8-year model. We're always going to be improving it.
So how do you find the companies that you invite to come to Boomtown? Is it I've seen accelerators that do the competition things, they do the submission things, some of them are referral in. So how does a company get on the radar screen and then potentially get accepted to come to Boomtown?
I think for now anyway, and this is again under experimentation by us, but for now what we've done is there are online portals where people where large numbers of accelerators apply to multiple types of accelerators. And so we have an online portal like that, so we get a huge number of companies that come in through that portal, but we also reach out. So we make an effort to go after companies that are in our thesis, and we find them in social media, or when we travel to particular geographies, we go meet with them in person. So it's a real kind of outreach. I'd say it's about 50% outreach and 50% come to us. And then as we continue to grow, our alumni are continuously making introductions to us. So that's also becoming more and more of a source for deals.
So how big is the alumni? You've been around for 2 years. You've been running the program. So how many companies have kind of graduated through Boomtown now?
We're now on our 4th session, and we have 33 companies in the portfolio.
And who give us a feel for what some of your pride and joy of those that come through already?
Yeah, I
know it's like trying to tell you to pick your favorite child.
Well, no, it's a good question, and the thing is that I really I love entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are my heroes, but what's interesting is the ones that fail. For some reason, I quote unquote fail, right? But I have a real fondness for the journey that they go on. So it's not typically the successful ones, and again, I guess I would put air quotes around success too, because some of the companies that come in are not, looking for the biggest financial exit. Some of them have a real mission they're trying to accomplish. So it's the ones that I think are the most courageous and fearless, and in that case, you're going to meet with 2 of them here coming up in your other segment, a couple of really courageous founders in Bitsbox and Visible, and I definitely have to say that those are 2 of my
just because they happen to be sitting in the room.
Yeah, I don't want them to, attack me afterwards or anything.
But you mentioned a good point, though. It is about the whole issue of being fearless, right? And do you try to filter that through in the selection process when you're picking companies?
Absolutely. I think there are so many different things that we're selecting on and looking towards to fulfill the thesis. But when it comes down to it, for me, if I had to say one thing, I would say that the ability for a founder to compartmentalize fear and manage it well, not just fear, but also success, and to kind of almost be able to modulate emotionally so that they don't get blind spots based on either fear or high emotion. To me, that's one of the signals for me that this is a company that can overcome all the challenges they're going to face and the successes they're going to face.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's the common issue that holds a lot of people back. Someone's got the idea, but they want to make sure, they've got, 5 years of cash in the bank and they've got everything else, covered, and so therefore that they can go in and launch as an entrepreneur really as with no risk, right, or no downside. The risk is it doesn't work out, but they've protected their downside. What I've seen over my experience, though, is that you do end up with, people that that risk also becomes part of the fire in the belly that kind of gets them going.
Yeah. I agree, and I actually, when we kick off the session, the very first time when the startups meet us, all of the Boomtown staff goes through and gives one tip of one tip or one piece of advice, and mine is typically that know who you are. You're an underdog, and that means you have to outsmart, outthink, out-hustle, and you have to be willing to take risks that others in your category wouldn't. And if you are too comfortable, then you're probably not behaving like a startup.
That's great. So if people want to follow Boomtown, where can they find you?
Well, right now they can go to www.boomtownboulder.com. That's Boulder with a U in there. Next week they can go to boomtownaccelerator.com.
Oh, your Boomtown Accelerator. That's great. Thanks for spending some time with us. Coming up, I'll introduce you to a couple of the companies from Boomtown, so stay right there. I'm Phil McKinney, and this is Killer Innovations.
Biz Talk Radio.